Hey, welcome to the Straight Sports Podcast. We're your host Joshua, and
Tishar.
in this podcast, we give our opinion on our favorite sports, which are basketball, soccer, and wrestling.
So before we dive in again, we just want to apologize. We will get back to soccer and wrestling soon, with this
Yep.
playoffs going around. We just want to discuss that, but very soon, not sure when, but soccer and wrestling will come, but not this week. We're focusing on the playoffs. Great second round matchup. Topic number one, the second round of the NBA playoffs has come to an end, and we will go through each NBA second round series and give our reactions to it. So we will start with the Eastern Conference, the first seeded Miami Heat versus the fourth seeded Philadelphia 76ers, and the Miami Heat won in 6 games. What are your thoughts, Joshua?
Well, Joel Embiid was out for the first two games of the series, which I think did change it because, like I said before, I don't know if I got this on recording or not, but I do believe that if Joel Embiid was here for the whole series, the 76ers would win the series, but as we know, that was not the case. Harden, those first two games, couldn't steal a game. Joel Embiid came back in the next two games and did win those.
But Joel Embiid was never right.
He was 100%, yeah.
After like you saw the first 3 games when he was healthy, they were on the verge of sweeping the Toronto Raptors, and once he got hurt, they were losing games. They lost 2 to Toronto,
Yeah.
then they finally won one where even though with that ligament he was able to adjust to it and play good, and then he gets hurt again. And then so like once he kind of got injured, the Sixers kind of went downhill.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Jimmy Butler in the series, I mean, amazing. Like, what can
Flat
you
out
say? Like,
phenomenal.
he literally played, like, dare I say, perfect. I mean, averaging 27. I mean, like, like, what can you say? Like, that's
Yeah,
everything you want from a
he was the
leader.
best player in this series, and I
He
think not a
was.
debate. Obviously, I think if Joel Embiid was there, I think we might say something different about that.
I agree.
But he was phenomenal, and I want to hear what your thoughts about James Harden.
No comment.
You gotta speak. This is the podcast. They waiting to hear what you want to. You gonna say you
Ah,
cannot say no comment.
bro,
Not
okay,
on the
look,
podcast.
if I'm being honest, bro, look, bro, look, bro. Harden,
Look,
I mean,
I picked Philly to win, so I'm gonna get my blame coming soon.
yeah,
I'm gonna get
bro,
the
but
laugh
look.
too.
Harden throughout this series, I mean, I don't think he played
Game
his
4, he was
best. I mean,
phenomenal.
yeah, game four, he put up a vintage performance. I mean, I expected that same thing in the next game,
Didn't show
but
up.
he followed it up with 14 points and then 11 in an elimination game. I mean,
Tough. 2 shot attempts in the fourth, in the second
honestly,
half.
I mean, I expected more. You know, I'm a big supporter of Harden. I believe in his talent, but this series did not show that. He did not come through. And I just don't know what to say. He didn't look aggressive at all. I mean, I feel like people are throwing Doc Rivers under the bus. I was one of those people. But, you can't blame Doc Rivers for, you know, Joel Embiid not shooting well, for Harden not even attempting shots. Like, that's honestly a little bit disrespectful to the team, I think. You're supposed to be the
Yeah,
second best player,
he's
arguably.
becoming
You're
too
not even
passive.
shooting. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
you're not even shooting shots. Like, you know what you have to do. And B's not 100%. You got to take those shots. You got to step up. And
Yes,
sadly, in the series, he didn't
that's
do
what it
that.
came for coming to Philly. When he was in Brooklyn, he was allowed to be
Yeah.
the third best scorer. Coming to Philly, expected to be 2. Yeah, Maxi's been balling, Tobias Harris been balling, but we know you're the number 2 guy on this team. And
Yeah,
when
facts.
Embiid gets hurt, you got to be number 1. But like I said, we're happy he went to Philly. We felt like it was a good move for both sides. But um, I mean, that's what it comes with. Philly's not Brooklyn. This is not Brooklyn where they have absolutely no fan base. This is the Philadelphia 76ers. The fans will turn on you like that. Were they excited when James Harden came? Yeah, he was number 1 in jerseys. What happened right after? Now he got out the playoffs, and you're hearing a lot of stuff about James Harden in a negative way. You got to take the criticism. But yeah, anything
Yeah.
else you want to add, Josh? The
Not
overall
really. I
series?
mean,
Mm.
I feel like it was a good series and entertaining at parts, but I feel like Harden could have done more, been a bit more aggressive. But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess hopefully next season he'll come back, put this behind him, and they'll work
Yeah.
together and try to chase that ring next season.
Yeah. So for me, looking at the series, obviously I picked the Sixers to win, and I think it was six games. I said if Embiid missed the first 2 games, I would go in 7.
Yeah,
But bottom line is once Embiid came back, he wasn't 100%. That's where they lost the series. It's very difficult to win the series, especially with the way Harden was playing. Game 4, he played vintage, and it looked like if that guy shows up every game, who can stop them? That's what it looked like. But he didn't show up in Game 5. I think just want to get the stats right here. In Game 5, he had 14 points, 4 assists, and then I mean, game 6, 11 points. I mean, he was flat out terrible. He didn't show up in the clutch, and that's something people criticize him for. But the bottom line is, I do believe, yeah, James hasn't been playing great, but if Embiid played the first 2 games, I still believe the Philadelphia 76ers would have been in the Eastern Conference Finals. But he was injured. They missed the first 2 games, and they couldn't steal a game. And I feel like if that was the Houston Harden, I feel like he would be that good enough to get a game. But I'm not saying I still believe he can become that. I think there's no knock on him, but definitely maybe that hamstring get into Houston Harden shape, and I think he's going to be really scary. But he was flat out terrible this whole series. He didn't show up one bit. He did show up in game 4. He was phenomenal in game 4. Honestly, yeah, game 2 was not bad, but like, for me, game 2, I think there was a game Maxey dropped 34, Harris had 20, and Harden didn't do his job. Like, he got the help. So I don't want to, Maxey's a second year player. Tobias Harris is expected to be, a nice addition to their team. So shout out Miami for getting it done. Jimmy Butler was straight up, flat out phenomenal in the series. He was the best player. They couldn't guard him. And what Jimmy Butler said, or I think after game 6, Tobias Harris over me.
Yeah, I
Philly
seen
messed
that.
up, man. I mean, Jimmy Butler said even in the post game after the game, like he's like just paraphrasing it, that he wished he could still be playing with Embiid. Like they both are just winners. But the bottom line is Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris probably the biggest reasons why he didn't come back. Um, to me, Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid are like perfect teammates. They clearly want to win, but they'll be back. Obviously, for Sixers, another disappointment, another exit, no conference finals appearance. But then there's this notion about who won the trade, but I can't say who won the trade until we see Ben Simmons play. I still think
That's
Philly won
true.
the trade. I think, yeah, they lost in the same conference, but you got to factor in injuries. Had they lost and they were completely healthy, we might be saying something very different about this, but they weren't. Joel Embiid was not healthy, and you got to feel bad for the guy. The guy's a warrior. The man went out with a mask. I don't know what he had to go through. Game 5 of
Yeah.
like another another hit to the face. Like he was a warrior throughout this series, and he just proves his mentality. Like he just really wants to win. And look, I'm not obviously comparing. I would just talk about mentality. There's some guys, we talk about that Mamba mentality. I feel like Joel Embiid is one of them who has it. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, like obviously, I'm not. Kobe was a different beast, and he's obviously going to be one of the great. He's one of the greatest of all times. But just comparing the mentality that he had to, Kobe would be the same to play hurt. There's a lot of guys who do, but Joel Embiid's just like, yeah, I'm hurt. Yeah, it stinks to be hurt, but I'm gonna play because I'm trying to win. Winning matters to me. You got to feel bad for the guy, Joel Embiid. But bottom line is the Sixers lost. Shout out to the Miami Heat. They're moving on. Shout out to Tony because Tony's not very upset how you've been disrespecting the Miami Heat, Josh. Obviously, I picked
Hey,
Philly. I
man.
picked against them, but my pick was wrong. I do believe they were healthy. They would have won. And I'm not saying I still believe for me contenders. There are multiple contenders, but obviously I thought Philly was just a lot better matchup wise. But hey, look, they lost. They got to regroup next season. They got to figure out a way. And James Harden just got to come back with a vintage, come back better and be improving. I think they got to get a better bench because that bench was not the best. Once they made that trade, they lost a lot of pieces. But it was a good series, and yeah, shout out to the Miami Heat. The next series, we got the second seeded Boston Celtics versus the third seeded Milwaukee Bucks, and the Celtics won in 7. And before you answer, I think we both picked the Celtics to win in 7.
Yeah,
If
I
I'm
think so
correct,
too.
so yeah, we got it right on the dot. So, what's your reactions?
Yeah, this is a very entertaining series. I mean, I know Middleton was out, and that probably did sway the series a
Yeah,
bit,
like
but
yeah, I said that in the beginning. I feel like Middleton was here; they would have won that series. I
yeah,
know you don't feel the same way, but I felt that way. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I mean, I still think that they would have won the series in 7. I mean, there's arguments for both sides, and I do see that, but I just the Celtics team is something special right now. I mean, Giannis. I mean, he played. I'm not gonna say he played perfect, but he played like amazing. Like there's no fault to what he did. Like
Yeah,
he
except I
played
mean, if you
great.
really want to criticize on like, I mean, in Game 6, I mean, he had 20. Sorry, Game 7, he had 20 rebounds, but like, 10 for 26. He had 8 points in the second half.
Yeah,
You got to be equal in the media. They criticized Kevin Durant,
that's
they
true.
criticized LeBron, but Giannis, in a Game 7, when his yes, I understand talent wise, Celtics are better, but you got to. I mean, 10 for 26 is not superstardom, but
That's
he's gonna
true.
get better. But yeah, he didn't show up in Game 7. But
Yeah.
the rest of the series, I mean, look at the numbers. I mean, 42, 34, 40, 44. I mean, he was flat out dominant in this series. He was grabbing like 13 plus rebounds every game, or probably less. No, there's some games he has 7, 8 rebounds, 5, 3. Well, actually, I guess not every game, but there was some games I see 20 rebounds like back to back. That's crazy.
Yeah, he played great. I mean, Drew Holiday with some key defensive plays. I remember that game against
That game
Marcus
5, I
Smart. It
don't
was
know how they
crazy.
pulled that off. I thought that game
Yeah,
was over.
great win. Uh, Jaylen Brown played great. Jason Tatum also played good. Al Horford, I
Shot.
mean, shout out
Oh,
Al
game
Horford,
4.
man.
That dunk, oh my
And
goodness.
Grant Williams, I mean,
Oh,
what a
yeah.
performance. And
Game 7.
yeah, what a performance. 27 points. I mean,
Bucks live with it. They knew, that was I looked like that was their game plan. Leave Grant
yeah.
Williams was open, and they allowed it, and Grant Williams made them pay. Role players, game 7s are sometimes, yeah, stars, but role players gotta show up, and Grant Williams came, and he he had the most attempts too.
It was a great series to watch. I mean, sucks that the
Definitely.
Bucks won 100%, but that's just how it is. And I feel like the Celtics will, be a good matchup for the Heat.
Mhm. Yeah, so for me, I just look at this. To me, what this series proves is Jason Tatum has went up toe to toe with two of the greatest right now in this game.
Yeah, that's
He
true.
went up with KD. I'm not saying he's better than KD. I didn't say that. I just think he outplayed KD tremendously in this series, defensively and offensively. And Giannis, he matched up Giannis. Let's not say Giannis was phenomenal in this series. I mean, he averaged like almost basically 34 points, close to 15 rebounds and 7 assists. I mean, he was flat out phenomenal in this series. Um, but Jason Tatum, I'm gonna go back to that one game. Yes, you lost game 5, and Celtics should have won that. But that game 6 he had in the road when you're facing elimination, your stars had to be phenomenal. If he was not phenomenal, the Bucks would have won that game and they would have been moving on. But he went 7 for 15 from 3, 17 of 32, shooting 53.1% from the field, 46 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. He saved their season. That's what stars do. Not stars. I gotta address him differently now. Superstar, because he's part of the
Mm.
superstar club now. He was phenomenal, and that is the reason why the Celtics went to a game 7 and they were able to win. But game 6, he went toe to toe. Look at the series. Yeah, game 1, 21, game 2, 29, game 3, 10 points. That was his worst game. Then after that 10-point performance, 30, 34, 46, 23, he was phenomenal. Game 6, that what he did, that's like a legacy game. You go out there, be like, you know what? I have arrived. And he was phenomenal. And shout out to the Celtics and shout out Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, in game 5, a lot of people maybe looked at it and I think people looked at it as like, oh, he potentially could have cost them a game. What he did in game 6, he stepped up, he showed up. Maybe he felt that way. I think he said that. I'm not too sure, but he showed up, and the whole team is. This is a good team. Shout out Udoka, man. This coach is just proven it's crazy what he's doing, man. And yeah, what he's able to do to Giannis that last game, and Al Horford, man. Shout out Brad Stevens. What a job he's
Yeah.
doing. Great team win. Obviously, we both picked I only picked Celtics to win without Chris Middleton, but Bucks got nothing to lose. I feel like Giannis was expected. The Celtics should have won this series without Chris Middleton, but Giannis was nothing short of spectacular. But they're out now in the defending champions. There will be a new champion crown, but the Bucks will be, as long as you got Giannis, they're going to be contentions in every season. The Bucks will be relevant. All right, so we're moving on to the Western Conference. The first seeded Phoenix Suns versus the fourth seeded Dallas Mavericks, and the Dallas Mavericks won in 7 games. Before I get your reactions, Joshua, I just want to say something. I was right. Give me my props. I said Dallas in 6. I guess I was a game off. I went with the underdogs, and I'm going to allow you to go first, but I went with the underdogs, and I called it. I got a game off, but I called the victory. I know you picked Phoenix 7, but actually, when we were watching the game 6, you said, even though you picked Phoenix to win in 7,
Yeah.
you said that momentum shift. You said after that, when it was 3-2 and then Dallas won game 6, you said Dallas will win game 7. So you actually did change your mind mid-series, but because you have the momentum shift. That
Yeah.
is right, correct?
That's true.
But like, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I thought it was a good series. I mean, honestly, I did pick initially. I did have, I believe, Phoenix in 6 or 7. I mean, it did go down to the wire, but
Yeah,
Luca.
but then once that game 6, and you were right about the momentum.
Yeah.
I didn't really like at the beginning. I didn't really agree with you, so my bad. But like when you said that, like I kind of I kind of agreed because then you looked at the Celtics, they had momentum in game 6 and they blew them out, and then the
Yeah.
same thing Dallas. But yeah, I'm gonna let you finish because we watched the national embarrassment a few days ago. But you
Yeah.
go first.
Honestly, yeah, it was actually shocking to see, bro. Like Chris Paul. I mean, 5 consecutive games of putting up bad
Flat out
numbers.
terrible. Flat
Like
out
honestly,
terrible.
horrible.
We
Like
gonna
it's not
criticize
even.
James Harden. You gotta criticize Chris Paul. It's funny how we allow this, and you were telling me this. Yeah, we criticize James, and James Harden deserves every little criticism that he gets.
Yeah, I
But we
agree.
can't let guys off there like Chris Paul. Yes, I understand he's older. He's at age 37. But where was he? And besides Chris Paul, where was Devin Booker at?
Exactly. Like like where was Booker? 11 points. I mean, 3 for 14. That's not good. I mean, literally him, Chris Paul, Aiton, they all shot horrible. It's like they didn't even give themselves a chance. I mean, I think at what was it at halftime of the first quarter, Luca had as much points as the entire
27
Suns
to
team.
27. Yes,
Like that,
yes.
like that's embarrassing, man. We're watching a generational talent work,
You
and
right.
yes, he had help. Dinwiddie stepped up. Brunson
30.
stepped up. Two big time players. They stepped up when it mattered most, and that's what you need in your team. Honestly, just an embarrassing performance, a blowout from the jump. The Mavericks were literally running away with it from the beginning of the game, and Luke was on fire. Chris Paul, I mean, what can you say? I
He
mean,
had a lot after those phenomenal first two games in that series. I mean, what was like? I just want to read these stats because we give him all the love because he is the point guard. We call him that. But game 3, 7 turnovers. We got game 4, he got 2. Okay, game 5, 4 turnovers. Game 6, 5 turnovers.
yeah,
And then you look at the first two games he's great. Then it's 12 points, 5 points, 7 points, 13 points, 10 points.
yeah, that's crazy.
And he was flat out terrible. So is Booker. Like game 6, I mean, 19 points, 6 of 17. And then game
Yeah,
7, legacy defining games, 3 for 14, 0 for 4 from 3, 11 points.
yeah.
Go and criticize Harden, criticize these guys too. I mean,
I
look,
mean,
they're
to be fair,
phenomenal
this is like
talents.
what Devin Booker's second playoff appearance. Like
I
it's kind of
understand that, but
crazy to say, but
if you
yeah,
look
you got to
at
play
this,
better
it's
than
not
that,
just blaming
man.
him. Aiden too. Aiden's not living off
That's
the hook
true.
too.
Yeah,
Aiden had a mismatch every time. He did not take advantage, and maybe that's also the offense's fault for not getting him the ball in his spots. But
but did you
and then
see
you
when
see
Luca posted him
Monty.
up? Like that was so crazy,
Luka just did what Luka is just
embarrassing,
phenomenal. I
man.
mean, we both agreed that Luka was the best player in this series, but
Yeah,
I
I
know I
agree.
picked Dallas to win the series. I felt confident because I'm gonna tell you my wait. So, is there anything else you want to say about this series?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean,
So yeah, so what I saw is yes, the series was good. Everybody won home game, but I saw a national embarrassment in Game 7. Luka Doncic, what he proved. The reason why I'm gonna say this now, I don't know if I said in the episode. The reason why I picked Dallas to win the series is generational talent win games, and he's a
that's true.
generational talent. What he did last season, the Clippers, and if you're looking at what he did this season. I'm looking at the Clippers. How did they survive? I understand that Luka had because Luka did not have the help he has now. But you just got to give him a little bit of help. He's a generational talent. He's that special. Do you know what he is doing in elimination games? Like this man has faced elimination. I think when his first season he was down 3-2 to the Clippers, and then he had a game 6. Then he was, the next season he faced elimination as well. Game 7. Oh, that game 7. I think he had like 44 points, 15 assists. And then tonight, what he hit 35, and he didn't even play most of the next half. Like embarrassing. And CP3 didn't show up. And when we talk about legacy talk, obviously CP3 is a Hall of Famer first ballot, but this definitely takes a huge hit on his legacy. This is the 5th time in his career he choked a 2-0 lead. They literally did this last season, and they did it again. It seems
Yeah,
like the Suns were feeling very confident, I guess. Because one of my friends were telling me about Game 7, like their press conferences seems like, they were just like fine about it. You know what I'm saying? Like one of
yeah.
my
Like
friends
they
said,
didn't really like.
like it
I'm not
didn't
gonna
seem
say they
like
didn't care, but like it wasn't
they didn't care
important.
about
Like
it didn't seem like they were like too scared. Like
yeah,
we're gonna win. Like come on now, we're the Suns. We're the best team in the West and all this. But I know I picked Phoenix to be the second best team. But when I saw what Luka was able to do, he's just a generation. It was a sometimes you lose to talents like that, and that's what Luka's doing. It's a stretch comparison, but it's like LeBron. Like he's just a generation. In his 4th year, LeBron made it to the finals. He's on the verge of doing it. Obviously, he has another huge test, and you can't never count on Luka at this point. Generational talent, in my opinion, he's making a huge case for the best player in the world. Huge case. I'm not gonna say it yet. He's making a case for it though. But what we saw is the Dallas Mavericks advanced. They're going to be playing the Golden State Warriors. They deserve it. Shout out Jason Kidd. Phenomenal coach what he's doing in his first season in Dallas. He deserves all the props in the world. And shout out Mark Cuban, everybody in Dallas. Shout out Luka. How can you not be a fan of Luka? Just how can you not? The man was laughing in their faces in Game 7.
bro.
I was a fan
After
of it. I
every
don't have
after
any
every point,
problem.
he was laughing coming up the
And
court, bro. It
also, it
was
looked
so
like in the beginning, Devin Booker said something, and Luka said something after Game 5. Like, oh, you guys act tough, all this stuff when you up, and
yeah,
then they didn't look bright now in Phoenix. And man, just remind me, we've seen a lot of Game 7s. I don't know if I've ever seen a Game 7 like that
yeah. Blowout,
in
embarrassing.
Phoenix. Your hometown is different if you're home and you blow out that team in your hometown. The game was over in the second quarter.
Yeah, It's
Nobody,
tough.
it was because I heard what Kendrick Perkins said. Game sevens, he was saying it's like something different. Like, yeah, they made it to the finals, but they never played in a game seven except Chris Paul, really, or JaVale McGee. It's different. Game seven, there's something, and you saw once they were down by a lot. It seemed like they got tight. They kept missing shots. It just felt like
Yeah.
that pressure came to them. But they should be embarrassing themselves. And now I'm talking about what you were talking about. I think his legacy is a little tarnished. Obviously not substantially, but it has takes a hit. Again, 5-2-0 leads you blow. It's not obviously all on CP3, but come on now. Also, real quick, I know we've been on this topic for a little bit. I want to say, you know, when we think about, we both agree. I mean, last season the Suns had a good chance to win a championship. Obviously, a lot of people were hurt, but obviously they still made it to the finals. This season, this was a very good chance for them. I'm looking at next season. They're not better than the Clippers. They're not better than the Warriors. They're not better than the Denver Nuggets. There's a lot of teams they're not better than.
Yeah.
They had a shot. I don't see the Suns. I see them being competitive, but I don't see them winning a championship.
So you
I think
think
they
that
they
the window was
blew they
closed for
blew that.
them?
I think it's closed. Yeah, I think it's closed.
Yeah.
I still think they have a puncher's chance at it because you have Devin Booker and CP3. I'm pretty sure they'll bounce back, but CP3 ain't getting any younger,
That's
And
true.
Luka's here, and I don't know. Luka is just too scared. Give Luka a substantial star, even a superstar. My goodness, what he would do to the league. But the Dallas Mavericks are moving out, and any Phoenix fans out there, shout out. Have a great day. Phoenix. All right, so moving on to the next matchup, we had the second seeded Memphis Grizzlies versus the third seeded Golden State Warriors. Golden State won the series in 6 games. I predicted 5. You predicted a sweep. We were a bit off,
Yeah.
but what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I thought it was a great, entertaining series. I mean, sad to see there was like that much injuries, to
Yeah,
get
with
it
the
paid.
Dylan Brooks, it was so much craziness. I
Yeah,
thought it was right for Dylan Brooks to be suspended. I thought it was.
I
I'm not
agree.
gonna say he's a dirty player. I would never say that. He's not. I think it sometimes doesn't matter the intent. It was a vicious foul and it cost some guy, a lot of time to miss. I think that was
Yeah,
deserving. And then Draymond Green in the beginning, he got flagrant to a lot of people said, oh, why he didn't get ejected. I think the reason he didn't get ejected was because I feel like sometimes now what matters is the outcome. If Brandon Clark would
yeah,
have
I
got
think so
hurt, I'm
too.
pretty sure he would have got suspended. He did get ejected, my bad, but he would have got. And then you see, unfortunately now Jordan Poole being called dirty play. I don't think Jordan Poole would do it intentional,
Yeah,
but it's
I don't think so
unfortunate
either.
play because John Morant was nothing but spectacular in this series.
Yeah. Speaking of John, I mean, he averaged what 38 over the course of 3 games. I mean, I think that's like superstar numbers in that series. He
Yeah,
played
for
amazing
sure.
in those 3 games. I mean, but they couldn't overcome the Warriors. I mean, they did have that blowout, which to me like so
Embarrassing
surprising.
by Golden State. At least they won the
Yeah,
series, unlike Phoenix.
yeah. I mean, Curry played great for the series. I mean, averaging 26. Klay Thompson with that big game 6, 30 points. I mean, it's what we expect now. Game 6 Klay. That's just how good he can be. And I think this Memphis team has room to grow. I mean, I feel like next season they'll come back even stronger because they have more experience. They play one of the best teams in the world in the Warriors, and I feel like they'll learn from this. John Morant, I think he'll come back better, and I feel like the team will just develop more as a whole. And shout out Desmond Bain. I mean, I think he played pretty good this series. I mean, he did what he could. I mean, I just thought that at some points, it did kind of feel like they could have like got it to
If you look at
7, but
if you looked at when after Ja got hurt, they were up 2-1. They blew them out. Game
yeah,
4, Memphis had the game. It was just small mistakes by a young team. They could have won it. Golden State was terrible in that game. But they luckily Golden State just won. They just got, let's just be honest, they got lucky.
yeah,
They just did their, they have experience and they proved the experience no matter how, it was not the cleanest win, but they got it. So experience mattered, but they got a little luck play. Jaren Jackson kind of bailed them out there. And then game
what a
5,
horrible shot.
embarrassing. Yeah, game 5 embarrassing and just embarrassing. That's all I can say. And game 6 they responded. And the game was close. Memphis just proved they're a very deep team. They're 21-6 without Ja. They're a good team without him, but Ja makes them better. Let's not deny that.
Yeah,
But obviously they play different without Ja. Draymond said it on his podcast.
that's
Maybe
true.
they like defensively they might be better. No knock on Ja, but defensively, and then they move the ball. Everybody scores. It's very different. But
Mm-hmm.
Ja, draws a lot of attention, and of course, no knock on Ja defensively. But obviously, we think about Curry. Certain guys, we don't say they're the best defenders. So
That's
yeah.
true. I agree with
But
that. I mean, I feel like they lack him most like in the fourth quarter because as you see, their decision making in the fourth quarter is like horrendous. I mean, John in that
yeah,
fourth quarter, he's taking the ball, he's taking smart shots, he's doing what he can to will his team to the win, and you can see that without him there, they were really lacking that. So
Yeah,
I
I
think he
think
brings
this
like a
series.
leadership to the
Yeah,
team as
in that
well.
Minnesota series, he wasn't good, but in this series, it just felt like there was
Yeah,
nobody who could guard him.
yeah, I agree.
For me, yeah, I would just agree with you all the points. Yeah, I thought Golden State winning five. Shout out Memphis even without Ja. I thought this series would definitely be end in five then, but Memphis came to play. They got a good team, and bottom line is Golden State was just a little too much. Obviously, they just had more talent, but who knows if Ja was there? It's hard to say how this series could have went seven, but Golden State did what they did, and they're back in the conference finals, like we both predicted they would be. But Memphis is a good team. They're going to be upcoming, and um, Phoenix. I don't know how you're going to beat this team. Good series. Shout out Ja. He was nothing but spectacular. Klay Thompson, Game 6 Klay. Great series, and I'm excited about the next series.
Yep. So moving on, topic 2, we'll review the conference final matchups and discuss who we think will win and advance to the NBA Finals. But before we do that, the NBA has revealed that they will be announcing the Western Conference and Eastern Conference MVP named after Larry Bird and Irvin Magic Johnson, who are two players who helped define the modern game. And the awards will be given out starting this season. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm actually excited about this. I know a lot of people feel very different about it, but I actually like it. I think it's good to validate the best player in the East. We always give the award to the Finals MVP, but somebody, when it comes to the Eastern Conference, the winner who wins the East, I think that's a player like that deserves validation, whether who it is. But I look at it and I feel like for example, let's say we got a series and let's say the Heat won. I'm not saying I predicted this yet, but let's say the
Yeah,
Heat won and some guy like Tyler Hero, a role player, somebody else wins it. It could validate their career even more. Obviously, we would expect the star to win it, but you've seen Iguodala, you've seen guys win it like that. So I feel like it would just
that's true.
validate them more. But I just like it. I think it's cool, more awards, and uh, I think it's a cool thing. I really like it. I think it's good to validate the West and the East. Who is the best player, at that time in the East and the West. I think it's good to validate them.
I mean, personally, I don't really. I mean, I'm not really a fan of it. Like, I just don't understand like what it's. I get what you're saying. How is it like to validate the best player in that series? I guess I just don't see the point of it. I mean,
I just feel like gives the East and the West, like besides we always validate just the champion, but I think winning the Eastern Conference is something special in itself, and I think it's good to give a award. Obviously I think that won't mean as much when they don't win the
yeah,
championship,
exactly.
but I still think it's cool. I think it's deserving because it's hard. Hard to get to hard to win an Eastern Conference. A lot of things play in
That's true.
factor, injuries. Something got to be a little lucky. You got to be healthy. It's a lot of factors. But yeah, I
That's
mean,
true.
yeah. Continue your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, not everybody agrees with this.
I mean, obviously, it's gonna be like dwarfed by the Finals MVP, but I just feel like it's one of those things where like people aren't gonna really like pay attention to that because like I guess people care who like win the West and the East, but I feel like the most important thing is who wins the title. So like I feel like no one really like last year the Suns won the West, right? But they lost the title. I feel like it's not important as much as the actual thing. If that makes sense. I don't know.
I guess you have a point. Yeah. I think it's cool. I think it'd be cool to validate, but I understand like the negatives of it as well. But I think it's cool. We get to validate, and there are more awards for these great players.
That's true. So moving on to the actual, predictions.
Oh,
Eastern
this is gonna be
Conference.
tough.
The first seed Miami Heat versus the second seed Boston Celtics. What's your take on that?
Joshua, I'm having a real time deciding this one. I'm having this tough time deciding both of them. I know I even picked Golden State, but anyways, okay, I'm looking at both series. I've been very high on the
Yeah.
Miami Heat, but sometimes teams surprise you. The Celtics have stunned me. I
Yeah.
want to say Miami, but I think the Celtics will win the series in 6 games. I think they're the
Mm.
better team. I like I said, I've been very high on Miami. I still believe they're contenders. I mean, they got to the conference finals, even though I didn't pick them. I just thought Philly was a bad matchup. I do believe they played
Yeah.
the Bucks. I think they would have won. I think, but the Celtics been on fire. Tatum Brown, I think they're the better clear duo, but they're so evenly matched. The bench is pretty equal. We can't even say the Celtics have a bad bench, like Pritchard, Derek White,
That's true.
uh, Grant Williams, Robert Williams back. He's going to be a big part of the series. But the Miami Heat have a great defense, but offensively they're not. They have Jimmy Butler, but somebody else got approved. But it's going to be a great series. That's tough for me. I've been high on Miami, but Celtics just been on fire. You telling me they just beat KD and then Giannis? Like it's
True.
hard. It's hard to. I'm sorry, Tony. I was gonna say Miami. I was very close to this, but I had to think about it. The Celtics just be on fire. Momentum shift. Celtics in 6.
I honestly agree with that 100%. I think Celtics win in 6. I mean, if it goes to 7, I wouldn't be surprised. The Heat are no slouches. They will not lay down Jimmy Butler. I feel like he's really like playing really well this series. I mean, I feel like he will play well this series. I feel like, he showed it with his last two series that he played. I mean, pretty much dominated in those, and I feel like he'll step up. But the Celtics defense, I mean, I feel like they stopped Kyrie, they stopped Kevin Durant. They did not stop Giannis. I mean, for the most part, but
Game 7, they were able to contain, and Game 1, they contain, but Giannis
yeah,
was able
but
to impact the game other ways. But
I
yeah,
feel like they will be able to contain Jimmy Butler. That he is a perimeter oriented player. I mean, he does slash and drive, but he
Celtics
does a lot
guard
of
the
his work from
perimeter
mid
really
range and
good
stuff.
too.
So I
They're the
feel
best
like
defensive team in the league.
yeah, I feel
They're
like
number
they'll
1.
be able to contain him and Tyler Hero too. But the Heat bench is like really good. You got Lowry coming off the bench. You got Max Strus, Oladipo. Yeah, I mean players like that. So I feel like this will be a very interesting series. I'm predicting Celtics in 6 or 7, one of the two.
Mm.
Shout out Heat, great team, but I feel like the Celtics just like they're on a run right now and they can't be stopped. So moving on to the Western Conference, the third seed Warriors versus the fourth seed Mavericks.
You
What's
go
your
first.
pick?
I can't decide. You go first.
Okay, well, I mean, Luka has been playing amazing this series. I mean, this season, this postseason, I should say. Luka has been playing amazing this postseason, and the Warriors are looking a bit shaky. They kind of struggled against Memphis in parts, and you know how Dallas is a very a tricky team. They were my sleeper team. They were my
They were
sleeper
actually.
pick.
They were. You're
But
right.
with that being said,
Oh my goodness.
I'm still picking the Golden State Warriors to advance to the finals in, I'd say, I'd say 6. I'd say 6 or 7.
Mm.
I'm hoping 6. I'm really hoping 6 because I know if it goes to 7, then it's up in the air. But
Luka.
yeah, yeah, it's up in the air. So I
Luka.
mean,
Oh,
I'm saying 6, possibly 7, but I'm really hoping 6 games. So what's your thought on that? Because we know how Luca is in Game 7. So 6 is my ideal.
Josh, I'm like losing my mind here. I cannot decide. Luca's made this very difficult. And before I say, I just want to say shout out. Besides, Luca deserves every praise that he deserves, but obviously we know
True.
the Utah Jazz are trash. Let's be honest. But just shout out to before Luca came back, a lot of people thought that they would lose, right? Shout out
Yeah.
Jason Kidd, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, everybody who stepped up and was able to make this possible and allow Luca to rest and come back in game 4 and be able to win that series. So shout out to Jason Kidd and with the job that they were able to do without Luca, right? They were 2-1
Yeah.
without him. All right, so Josh, I have a tough time deciding, but it's hard to bet against Dallas. But I'm gonna go
Mhm.
Warriors in 7. I think it's gonna go 7 games. I think Luka Doncic is just phenomenal. He's proven that he can win games, but he has help Spencer Dinwiddie and the whole crew that they got. I'm gonna go 7 because they have championship pedigree. Remember, they're not playing the Phoenix Suns. If you're down 2 or you're gonna lose. Um, yeah, I'm picking Golden State. I think they'll win in 7. To me, I feel like this is a coin toss series, but I'm gonna lean towards Golden State because of their pedigree, their championship experience. They've been here. They've done that. And I think they'll win this series, but it's going 7. They're going to have a tough time. But if they play like that, they play against Memphis, turning the ball over, sloppy, they're not going to win. And I want to
Yeah.
say something. Dallas matches up very well with them. Look at that depth lineup that Golden State has. They have Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Jordan Poole. Dallas can match them up with Luka, Reggie Bullock, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dory Finney-Smith. They match up really good. Dallas has a lot of great shooters. And shout out Danny, bro. He told me that trade for Spencer Dinwiddie, me and you felt very weird about
Yeah, I
that.
didn't
That
really
trade
agree with
was the
that
best trade of
trade.
their lives. A game 7. What did Dinwiddie do?
Yeah.
30 points. So it's a good trade. But like I said, I've been a huge. I think Golden State also deserves to win, but I would love to see Dallas win this series, and I'll definitely be rooting for them. And I'm not a Dallas fan. I'm obviously a Clippers fan. I'm a Kawhi guy. But I want to see. I would be nice to see them. But I think Golden State will win this series. I think they're just a little better. It'll be too much. And I think the reason I'm leaning towards Golden State because of Jordan Poole's emergence. I think they have 3 guys, and we know Luca. We know Luca and Brunson have consistently show up, but will Dinwiddie do that? Will Dinwiddie be consistent? Because he has not been, right? And they got to make shots. Luke, they're going to get a lot of open threes, but will the shots they make at home go be made on the road? They did in Game 7. Let's not forget. Yes, they blew out the Phoenix Suns, but majority of the points came from Luca, Dinwiddie, and Jalen Brunson. Right? It was like I think 30 something for Luca, 30 points for Dinwiddie, 20 something for Jalen Brunson, and then there was other guys who hit 1-3, but they didn't need to because it was just a blowout from the jump. But they're gonna have a tough time against Luca. But I'm gonna just say this right now: Luca Doncic is the best player in this series, and I don't think that's. I think you could debate it with Curry, but he's the best player in this series, and he's gonna get his 40 points. But I just think Golden State is just a little more. They just have more talent, and they'll win the series in 7. But I say it's a coin toss because I wouldn't be stunned if Dallas wins. Because if Luca Doncic wins the championship, like I said, he's gonna make a case for best player in the world.
Yeah. And what a run that would be if you win it, knocking
in his
off the
4th
1 seed
season.
and the Warriors. Like that's like
Remember
what a
LeBron,
run.
and I feel like we could agree that I feel like in a sense this is built in the system. So I'm not gonna criticize Golden State. They didn't go out and get a free agent.
Yeah,
Jordan Poole was built in the system, but this Golden State team looked like a super team because of Jordan Poole
yeah,
and Andrew Wiggins. But they just have a lot of talent. Like I feel like they got literally like 5 All Stars on their team. Jordan Poole is a rising star. He's not an All Star yet, but he can be. Curry, Thompson, the way he's playing now, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins. He made the All Star team. You saw that Game 6 in
yeah,
Memphis, the way he came alive in the fourth quarter. So they have a really good team. I just think their team is a little better. To me, this is the bottom line. For Dallas to win the series, Luka's always going to be phenomenal. Jalen Brunson, I think he's proven he can be consistent. He's going to get a bag in the summer, which he deserves. But will Dinwiddie show up? Will Bullock? Will those guys
yeah. He has
at
to.
home? At home, will they show up on the road? Because at home is different. Can they do it on the road? Because if they're able to steal one game on the road, the series is going to be great. But I think the series is going to go 7. I think probably. I don't think it's going to be a home court series. I think probably. I'm gonna just make a prediction. I think Dallas wins game 1. I think Golden State wins game 2. I think Golden State wins game 3. Dallas wins game 4. Golden State wins game 5. Dallas wins game 6, and Golden State wins game 7. I think it goes like that. I think Dallas will win the first game and shock Golden State. But it's gonna be a great series. And how can you hate Luka? This guy's so phenomenal. It's Luka Day. I love Luka. Luka Day. I just love him as a basketball player. I just love the trash talking, everything about him. If he talks trash, he's gonna back it up. He's
Yeah.
not like me when I toss track, I never back it up. But
No,
I got Golden State 7. Very tough decision. I think it's coin flip series, but I'm gonna go with Golden State. I made that pick from the jump, and I feel very confident that Golden State will win. I just think they have more talent. But I say coin flip because who knows? Can Doncic have a game he just dropped 50 in a game 7? Because I feel like if it goes to a game 7, you just never know.
yeah. I hate
In
game
game
7, bro.
7, Luka is something else right now. He's the best right now. Statistically, has the best statistics as an elimination performer. But obviously only play like, a few games, so it's a small sample size. But yeah, I think that concludes episode 21 of the Straight Sports Podcast. Thanks for listening. You can follow us at Straight Sports Podcast on Instagram. Let us know what you think. It's very tough predictions. And yeah, just enjoy your day. Have a great day, and it's always fun. And hopefully soon we'll get back to soccer and wrestling. But shout out Clippers. We're winning the championship next season, right, Josh?
Nope.
Oh, dang, that's tough. But anyways, have a great day.
Thanks for listening. Peace.